Yes. It's 8 minutes after 7. My name is Kobby Spiky Nkrumah. You're tuned in to Joy 99.7 FM, and the geeks are here. When you hear that the geeks are here, it means we're about to talk technology, we're about to talk science, we're talking bits, we're talking bytes, we're talking heads, we're talking electric cars today, or tonight, or this evening. Electric cars are bringing some of the biggest changes the auto industry has seen in its years. On today's show, we're going to discuss some questions that you may have about EVs, that's electric vehicles for short, and what you know to decide if going electric is right for you. I mean, when people hear electric in Ghana, first thing that comes into their mind is doomsaw. Right? Right, guys? Okay, I take the silence as concern. Anyway, so
not consent.
Moving on, I have with me Joshua Opoku Agyemang. He's the president of IOT Network Hub Africa. Hi, Josh.
Hi.
Yeah. It's always good to have you here. And we have Gad Senyuiedzom Ashiagbor. He's an Africa Electric Vehicle Community member. Hi, Gad.
Hi.
Yeah. It's good to have you two here. I know we've been meaning to have this conversation for a while. It's been 2 weeks. And every time that we plan to have it, something comes on. I mean, we're in the election year, so things happen, and people pay for outside broadcasts, and things happen, and then we don't have our show. This means that if you're listening to us and you want to have an uninterrupted broadcast of Geek Squad every week, come and sponsor. I mean, all the big telcos, all the big tech companies out there, come and sponsor this show. Put a lot of money behind it, and we will not be interrupted. I mean, imagine if some big company put like $1 million behind Geek Squad. We can call the shots, you know what I mean? Like we
split it 500,000 in cash and another 500,000 in merchandise and equipment.
Yeah. I mean, so if you're listening, all these big companies can sponsor our show.
Laptops and spare parts.
Okay. So, I mean, we're in Ghana, and 99.99999% of the vehicles on our streets are ICE, internal combustion engine powered. Now, there's been a wave of electric cars outside of Ghana. When I say outside of Ghana, we're looking at the west and the east, where we're looking at electric cars. We've heard companies like Tesla, we've heard the known companies like Honda creating electric cars. We've heard companies like Mercedes creating all electric cars, BMW, Toyota with the Prius, the hybrid. So people are looking for alternate ways to power cars. And in as much as most of us here, Michael, Winston, and I are, should I say, traditionalists when it comes to the automotive world, we still have to give in to the fact that electric will probably be the future, right, guys?
Like I'm more optimistic than
you
guys.
You guys are. We understand.
Well, he is.
Yeah.
I'm straight in the middle. I like traditional combustible engines, but I acknowledge the advantages of electric. Except for some wild disadvantages that still haven't been addressed, but that's what we're here to discuss.
That would be interesting to know what you're thinking about.
Okay, so I like that. The fact that God bit this bait. God, I'm going to ask you first. What is an electric vehicle?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. It's a very astute question. I will start this way. Since the industrial age, there are two engines or sources of power known to man. We have the heat engine and we have the electric motor.
Right.
So the names are pretty descriptive. In the electric motor, you have electric current and magnetic field being manipulated together to produce motion or movement. In the heat engine, what you have is you have a source of power or fuel being bent to produce mechanical motion.
Right.
All right. Now, examples of a heat engine are the jet engines, the rocket engines, the steam engines, the grandfather of them all. Then we have the internal combustion engine.
Right.
All right. Now, the internal combustion engine has two variants. We have the petrol engine and we have the diesel engine. And the engine is called internal combustion because it's burning fuel internally in an explosive, a controlled explosion.
Okay.
All right. Now, so if you have a car that is being powered by an internal combustion engine, we say it is a normal petrol or diesel car. But one that is being powered by an electric motor is an electric car. Now, this is different from an electronic car, because some people think that an electric car is an electronic car. It's not so. We have ICE cars that are electronic. We have EVs that are also electronic.
Right.
All right. Should I continue?
I'd like to understand. Yes, you can continue. I mean, I think you're going to give us the difference between the two, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, the gist of the explanation I just gave is that these are all energy conversion devices. In other words, the energy must come from somewhere. For the petrol or the ICE engines, the source of energy is the petrol or diesel that you put in the tank. For the electric vehicle, the source of energy, of course, is an electric tank, which we call a battery.
Right.
All right. Now, there are times that the battery, instead of getting the energy from somewhere, we may have, let's say, another source, let's say hydrogen, for example, that is used to convert, that is converted into electricity to power the car. In that case, we say that that car is a hydrogen fuel cell electric vehicle, as opposed to a battery electric vehicle, where you use a current, an external current to charge the battery, then that is used to power the car. All right.
Right.
Now, when it comes to the sources of fuel, there are various characteristics that we look at. We look at safety, we look at energy density, we look at I sort of skipping the rate of charging, how fast it takes to charge. Okay. Then we also look at longevity. You know that if you leave diesel or petrol for a long time, some may evaporate.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, depending on the type of battery that you're also using, the battery, let's say you have a lithium-ion battery and you're using it over time, the retention of that battery may go down with time. Like your phones, you see that if you're using it over time, you cannot store as much energy. So that's a bit about
okay. Winston, you want to say something? We can come up to the mic.
No, yeah, let's.
Okay, so that's pretty much what an electric vehicle is. Now that's a lot to absorb, but
it's very technical.
Yeah, very technical. Josh, so what's the difference? Because I heard hybrids. You know, we have hybrids which are electric and combustion engine cars, and then you have all electric. And now I'm hearing that you have an electric car that is electronic and an ICE car that's also electronic.
No. What I meant by that, you see, for some time now we have electronically controlled cars.
Yes.
Okay. So you see a BMW today. It is not an EV. It's an ICE.
Yeah.
But it is electronically controlled.
Right.
And some people think that
because it's
when
electronic,
we say an EV, we mean a car
that is electronic.
Yeah.
Great. I like that. Now that's clarified. Josh, what's the difference between a hybrid and an electric vehicle?
Right. So from the ground that God had already laid, I would say a hybrid, it's an enhancement of the normal cars we know.
Right.
So a hybrid contains or uses the fuel, alright, but then it has a battery that also relies on for short-term routes. So for instance, if you're in a traffic light, you can switch from using your fuel to electric, but it can't sustain for long. And the battery too can't be recharged with electricity compared to electric vehicle. So electric vehicle, when your battery runs down, you can charge with electricity. But with a hybrid, when your battery runs down, you can charge, or doesn't powered by electricity.
Okay.
It's powered by the combustion.
Okay.
But it has an enhancement of electric feature that allows you to be able to run.
Right.
So in case you are in the middle of the road and you run out of fuel, your the feature that it had as electric can help you park probably or go a mile and then
or
park
two
it.
and find okay.
Instead of you getting stuck on the road. So basically that's what I think the hybrid comes in.
Can I see a bit to what you're saying?
Sure.
Okay,
Okay,
let me
wait.
just add a little too. So hybrids, there are some hybrids that can be charged by
with
electric
electricity.
source. Yes.
Yeah.
So
like the i8.
I mean, the BMW i8. Yesterday, you and I saw the Ferrari SF90.
The SF90. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a very interesting car.
Which is not for
Ferrari's statement to the new decade. That
which is not for sale.
No, it is for sale. There's another version that's not for sale, which is very strange. But yeah, basically you can charge it from a power outlet like any other electric car. It has a 15-mile range. However, if you are not close to a power source, you can switch to the combustion engine, and that will also in turn charge the batteries. There are a bunch of the Nissan Leaf, I think, also is based on the same. No, not the Nissan Leaf. Sorry, that's fully EV. Sorry, my bad. But there are definitely quite a number of cars that are using the same principle. Yeah. Although I'd like to add, when you began, Spiky, you said that EVs. I've forgotten the statement you made, but let me just make it clear. It seems like there is no other choice than to go electric.
Well, I will hold you on that statement. I'm sure. You see, Gad quickly picked his paper.
I think there's a point that is not being made clear.
Right.
Okay. When it comes to hybrids, the first thing I would say is that hybrids are a compromise. They were a good idea, let's say, in the 2000s.
Right.
Okay? To understand hybrids, one of the things you must understand is that EVs preceded the ICE engine cars. There was a problem with EVs that hindered their adoption, which is the energy density capacity of EVs, of the batteries we had then. If you pick a kilogram of petrol, you have over 2,000 watt-hours of energy in a kilogram of petrol.
Right.
The current state of the Earth's lithium-ion batteries today, okay, has around 250. So you can see the difference.
Right.
All right. This is after hundreds of years of development. So it is that energy density problem that has hindered EVs, that made them at the time short range. So the hybrid was a compromise. So the hybrid, you have the electric motor as well as an internal combustion engine that are co-joined to work together. Okay? And even then, there are two types. We have the plug-in hybrid, and then we have the hybrid that doesn't have a plug. So Joshua's explanation earlier, he was making reference to the hybrid that doesn't have a plug. In that one, the battery that it has is very small. So maybe 15 kilometers or 25 kilometers, you can drive on the electric motor. So its source of energy ultimately is the petrol or diesel that the car is using. Once the engine is on, it will be using some of the electricity, the energy to power the battery.
The battery, right.
All right. As opposed to the plug-in hybrids, that can be independently charged. But what it also means is that you have double the complexity. Okay? Because let me give you some diagram or some facts about electric motor and then the internal combustion engine. An electric motor is 3 times more powerful, averagely speaking. All right, and it can be 40 times smaller, and it can be 3 to 4 times more efficient. And a normal electric motor has 95 to 98% efficiency. The internal combustion engine has between 20 to 25% efficiency. Why? You are burning something. When you are burning, you are generating extra heat. It means that you need to cool it. It means that there's going to be vibration. It means that there's going to be noise. When the energy you want is motion, not noise, no vibration. I hope you're getting what I'm saying. This is what makes the internal combustion engine inferior.
Right.
All right. Now, the fact that when you pick the electric motor and an internal combustion engine, the electric motor can be so much smaller while delivering the same power means that even in terms of placement, the current cars you have today, you notice that all the engines are either in the boot or the bonnet. because it's so big and clunky. But the electric motor, because it is small, you can put it directly on the axle of your car. We have eliminated a lot of parts, transmission, exhaust, all those things are gone. That is what Tesla does. You can also put it in the axle, the hub, the tires, so the wheel hubs of the cars. So Rivian, for example, puts one motor in each is it axle or whatever?
For the hub, yeah.
In each hub. So therefore, you have superior performance. That is why all the performance cars of today, they are all going electric in one way or another. Because the performance characteristics, it cannot be beaten by internal combustion engine today, yesterday, or tomorrow. All right,
Michael. The performance of an electric car can never be beaten by internal combustion engine today, yesterday, or tomorrow. What do you have to say about that? McLaren 675 LT.
I do want to, I love my McLaren, right? And if they're listening, however small the chance may be, yes, I would like one to test drive and maybe even own with warranty. But unfortunately, yes, I have to admit he's right.
Yes.
That EV performance always, well, most of the time, 90% of the time, beats traditional combustion engine performance off the line.
So pretty much, if you're looking for a car that's fast, you should look electric.
Which has actually been proven. Tesla, when they released their cars, were all pretty fast. And they even proved that you can get them to be even faster, because what Tesla would do is that if you decided to upgrade whatever subscription you paid for from Tesla with the car, you could literally download an update to your car that would make it faster.
Right.
And it works because of the placement of the engines, the electric engines, literally right on each wheel. Power isn't passing through a drive shaft to get to the wheels, which then gets to the road. Simple physics. Less moving parts in the way, so power literally going straight to the road where you need it to go, most efficient. And because the placements of where the batteries are most of the time in EVs, right at the bottom of the car, because batteries are
heavy,
still very, very, very heavy. So I could, that's a joke at your expense. I will not do on air anymore.
Thank you very much.
Well, because of how heavy they are, they have to place them low in the car, which gives the cars also a very low center of gravity, which is actually why Tesla was always won a lot of most awards for car safety because the car center of gravity is so low. It's very difficult for a car to roll over during an accident and whatnot. So as a result, you as a passenger are also safer.
But I have something to say.
Before you say that, I'd just like to invite our listeners who'd like to contribute to the show to send a WhatsApp message to 055 11 11 997. It's 055 11 11 997. It's easy at this time, so I can say it fast. 055 11 11 997. See? What? You didn't get it. 055 11 11 997. Send a WhatsApp message to us and we'll read it. It's all about electric cars. Tell me, do you own an electric car? Or do you own a hybrid? Or do you want to buy one? You can ask us any question regarding electric cars and we will answer them. And you can also join the conversation. Listen and ask questions based on what you're hearing. Now, let's Gad, before Gad, Winston, you wanted to say something, so you say.
Gad just said something very interesting for me. He said that electric cars are faster than internal combustion cars. And I feel like there's a heightened nuance that we are missing.
Which is?
When it comes to electric cars, instant torque is available to you. Nobody really knows what torque means, but basically torque is
how quickly you just move.
How quickly your tires will move. Yes, how quickly your tires will turn. The power that will drive your wheels. And because for various reasons that we don't want to make this complicated for the average listener. Now, the fastest car in the world right now is any of you? The Bugatti Chiron. It is an internal. It is an internal combustion engine. Here's the thing. When you talk about even the Tesla, quarter mile drag, it kills. When I say a quarter mile drag, so normally they kind of race for a quarter mile because it has instant torque at its disposal. It is able to cover that distance farther, but the longer the journey goes, the difference begins to creep up. So I mean, people are saying that the Tesla's Roadster, the Roadster X, I believe that their soon coming sports car will be, but it's not on the road yet, so we can't say for sure. So I feel like we need to balance the whole conversation. Yes, electric cars have the power to annihilate any internal combustion car with the right technology. Like for instance, the Lamborghini Sian is using capacitors, which I find even more interesting than using batteries. Because capacitors typically can hold a lot more power than a battery.
But for a
shorter period of time.
Yeah.
If you want to ask why, it's simple physics.
You see, I think that in your submission right now, you made a statement in reference to my earlier statement. My statement was categorical about the internal combustion engine against the electric motor. However, if you're talking about the performance of the cars, remember I told you EVs have an Achilles heel.
Yeah.
That is the batteries. You see, you made mention about the Nissan Leaf, for example. When you are using your phone, it's a lithium-ion battery phone.
Yeah.
You notice that with time it becomes hot.
Mm-hmm.
That is a problem. We have all played football before. This is Ghana. When you are pumping,
generalized, very hastily generalized.
When you are pumping
the ball,
you notice that when the ball becomes fuller, it becomes more difficult to pump more. Now imagine that a battery is a container for energy. All right. Now, how fast you can extract that energy is a function of the resistance you are getting. How fast you can pump that energy in is also a function of the resistance. I hope you understand.
Yeah.
Now, if there's more resistance, there's going to be what? Heat. If there's heat, it's going to further degrade the performance.
Yeah.
Is that also? So therefore, cooling is a problem. The EVs that we had for a long time were all air cooled. Do you understand?
Yeah.
The batteries we had issues. You see, as we are sitting here, the problems we have all outlined. Last week, was that the 22nd?
It was two weeks
ago.
Yeah.
Tesla had a battery investor day.
Which is why we wanted to have this conversation
on our platform. For a year now, we have been announcing that Tesla battery investor day. There were certain things that we were all expecting. If those conditions are met, internal combustion engine cars are dead, super dead.
Hey.
But are they dead?
And we have done the year.
but are they dead? Because I also watched that.
About confidence.
Let me say something to you. On the Tesla battery investor day, I posted, Joshua can bear witness. 3 days before on the platform, there were a lot of technical stuff. Me, my background is physics, so and I like I net out.
Okay.
So I was totally geeking out on the battery investor day. But for those who are not technically oriented, maybe a businessman, whatever, what you ought to look out for is number one: are they going to announce a cost per kilowatt hour at $80 or less? If they announce something, and that is what they announce, it means that very soon it's possible to get an EV with superior performance that is cheaper than a Toyota Corolla.
That is their plan.
When you say superior performance, in what sense? Because when you tell someone like us,
what do you have in mind when it comes to
that's what I'm trying to specify. Because when you tell someone like us superior performance, our mind is instantly yes, more power on demand. But for the average consumer who wants an electric EV, they want more range out of that electric EV.
I'm talking about cost.
The thing
now,
here also,
range is a function of the energy density.
Yeah.
You understand? And what they announce, okay, basically they are saying that within the next 3 years, they will have 400 watt-hours per kilogram. At that point, even planes, short-term planes that can carry 25, 50 people, become practical. Because it's an energy, you see, it's either a vicious cycle or a virtuous cycle.
So, Gad, let me catch you there. I see you're geeking out already. Well, yeah, and some of the terms, I'm sure my audience probably is 400 watts kilometers per hour.
We'll break it down.
Wait, what?
Let God finish.
No, relax. We can have a 2 parts, 3 parts of this show. For the most important part of this thing, we want our listeners to understand the basics of electric cars. I mean, someone's probably wondering if an electric car comes in manual, because that person probably likes to drive manual cars.
Okay.
And is looking, okay, I want to get an electric car, but can I get it in manual?
Typically,
Okay.
they don't.
You don't, because you see the reason why we have
You see how confused you look?
You see how
I was confused because you can actually turn an internal combustion engine car into an electric car,
yes.
which just means you take out the internal combustion module and
then the gearbox.
No, you keep the gearbox. You
Mm.
put the electric motor into the gearbox, and you are pretty much done. You put the battery.
You
on.
put the electric motor into the gearbox, so you essentially just made a gearbox.
No, he's not being very accurate.
We are keeping it
In the engine bay, that's what he's trying to say. And depending on the technical resource of the person, some people will keep the transmission and just mate the motor to it.
Yeah.
Some people will also remove it. Now, when it comes to the electric cars, what we have the motor, we have a controller, and we have the battery. It's a battery electric vehicle, right?
So you have the motor, which is essentially like an engine.
That's the engine.
That is.
You have a controller.
That is what, in a petrol car, when you press the accelerator, instructions are given to the carburetor to pump more fuel into the engine, right? In an EV, when you press the accelerator, electrons flow to instruct the controller. That will then extract more energy from the battery
to the motor.
To the motor.
So, Josh, this is like your toy cars that you create.
What?
Right? The ones that
it's like a golf cart on steroids.
Cool. So
although for those who don't play golf,
that'd be so. It's like the toy car I said. You know the remote control ones like so you press the thing and it moves.
You know, back in the day there was this remote control cars that I really disliked. They
had a cable attached to it.
So
oh my goodness, how I hated them. That's pretty much what we're talking about, right? Good. So if you played with those toy cars that had a cable with a green and red buttons, red to stop, green to go, and you have to run after that car. Just imagine if you put that on a big scale, and the green was your accelerator, the red was your brake, and it was inside the car, so you don't have to chase the car. You actually just move with the car. So that's just it.
Transmission.
You know, that's just
forward and backwards.
You know, this is very
good. An electric car.
You know, this is a very good idea.
That's where the opportunity comes from.
Okay.
This is a very good diagram you've drawn, because we will end up into something called regenerative braking, which you can tell with that toy car, because when you take your finger off the accelerate button on the toy car, it pretty much stops.
Yes.
And that's what happens in an EV. When you take your foot off, typically it just begins to reduce.
Slow down.
Yes. Speed.
So it doesn't continue.
So that's very good. That's very good picture.
I would like to add that it's not all EVs
that have regenerative braking.
Yeah.
The smarter ones.
Yeah.
The more modern ones.
You know the technically the EVs that are capable of regenerative braking, the motors they have are actually called electric devices.
Okay.
Okay. Because they can switch from being a motor to being a generator.
Okay. Right.
So these are regenerative braking. Now the motion of the motor is being used to produce current instead of being used to produce current being used to produce motion.
That's interesting. So your car you can just put your car on stilts and then accelerate and gir your leg, and then when it's going back, it's powering your house.
This is possible because you see, an electric motor and electric generator are basically two sides of the same coin.
Right.
There's a law in physics that says that if you have current in the magnetic field, if you have current, a magnetic field or motion, either two of those in parallel, the third will appear in parallel.
Explain this.
Okay, so if you open a motor,
right,
you see that there's a magnet,
yes,
and there's wires.
When you say a motor, like those ones that you find in your fan,
any kind of motor,
like a small fan, yeah.
Yes.
Now I want this to be as simple, because we're talking physics here, and not everyone.
This is actually GSS physics.
Bro,
wow.
Bro, you know, let me not take. There's some people who, they wrote their physics to pass, and right after that, they forgot everything.
Format everything.
They formatted their brain, and they're probably just doing business right now. We have physicists who are doing business on Instagram right now.
But you know, I think the average person listening right now wants to know, is this worth it?
Now that's where we're going with this.
So let's.
Okay.
And before we get to that, I mean, we need to understand. Now we've understood about how very simple it is. I mean, from it sounds very simple. From what, yeah. Don't forget, we have electric cars in Ghana now. Now,
Yeah, I mean,
Josh, we've seen on the internet that some people have made electric cars and everything. I've seen you create some model cars which are basically mini EVs for that matter. Now, why are electric cars not yet a thing in Ghana if they're this easy? From what I've been made to understand, they're supposed to be that easy.
Okay. So from economic perspective,
Right.
I think we need to get people pushing it. Aloura started this whole show, and people told him it's not possible until he proved the world it was possible. Then others jump in. So I think we also have to jump in. So I have read that Kantanka is doing something that's
You took it right out of my mouth.
the solar taxi in Ghana, also assembling some. I think individuals are trying to do something small,
but they need a push.
Yeah, but they need a push.
So what kind of push do they need? Is it technology push or financial?
First of all, I think it has to be a conscious push. Conscious because combustion is literally causing harm to the environment. The combustion that we release go ahead to affect our greenhouse effect, which causes climate changes, such as hot water, the recent rain pattern changes, and the rest. So it's a conscious thing that we all have to start driving towards. Aside that, probably governments have been signing deals with other automotive companies into our country. I mean, it would be smart if they are also coming to try to look into EV. So not just coming to dump combustion vehicles again on us when the world is moving from combustion to electric. Because we also have to protect the environment. Right. Yes. So these are some of the things that I think we should be looking into.
So do you think that we as a country are technologically ready for electric cars?
You see, the thing about technology, whether we are ready or not, they're not going to waste us.
Well, true.
So
hold on to your thoughts. I want you said regardless.
Yeah, regardless whether we're ready or not, the technology is not going to wait for Ghana.
True.
But
so
I think the younger generation, we are obsessed with technology. Because we literally can't live without the internet.
Right.
And has become part of our DNA now. So even though the big people who have the muscle to make things happen might not be going to it, the smaller ones will try to run some experiment. It is very difficult because this industry is capital intensive. It requires a huge research budget, of which we don't mostly invest into research in our country. And that's a challenge. It also required a human resource. We need to build the capacities. For instance, our investors, those who are doing physics, engineering, we should be looking at skills or knowledge base applicable to some of these technologies in our environment, of which we don't do much of it. So these are some of the challenges I foresee that if we can look at it from academic perspective, from policy perspective, and from tech enthusiast perspective,
then we could
I think we can go a little bit to help.
Gad, he's mentioned a few perspectives that if we should put our minds to start looking into, we could get into. But I have my single perspective about Ghana and electric cars, which is the availability of electricity.
I mean, solar.
Okay.
That's a totally different conversation. For instance, we know that electric cars, we mentioned range. Okay. Now, every car has a range it can go based on the fuel that it consumes before it runs out of power / fuel, right? Now, if I'm using an electric car and I move to, let's say, Kumasi, and I'm coming back and then I run out of fuel, in an ICE car, I can just take a gallon and then stop the nearest car, bicycle, or skateboard, whatever it is, take me to the next fuel station, fill that gallon, come back, pour it. Now, I can't get enough extension boards. I can't get enough extension boards to the next village, go look for the person who has electricity in their house to plug my car, and then wait. Also, not forgetting the fact that I have to actually wait for it to charge, because take for instance your phone when you plug it to charge, just to pay for that Momo. How long you have to wait for the battery to come on the screen first, and then get the 0% then before it goes to 1%, before you can turn it on. If you are not lucky, it goes off again, and you have to wait for that whole process. You know what I'm saying? Now, that's where, because looking at the West, they have charging stations, like fuel stations. They're building them.
They're building it. So.
We haven't even started.
you know. Wow.
Yeah.
You know, when you made your point,
you can't run to.
How is the feeling of deja vu?
You can't run to solar either because.
No. Is it? The reason is that
somebody said they will use power bank.
They
said you use power bank.
Actually, there is a solution like that, but let us. you see, the question you asked Joshua earlier.
Yeah.
You see, we are all tech enthusiasts here. It boils down to ecosystem. Number one. Number two, to directly address the point you raised, there is a perspective change that we all have to grapple with. You see, when we move from the young phones to the smartphones, expectations were redefined of what a phone ought to be,
right,
and what the capabilities and capacity of a phone ought to be.
Right.
It's the same with EVs. First of all, when we charge an EVs normally will tell you the range that you have, as opposed to the internal combustion engine cars that will just tell you you have 50%. How long the 50% can go is between you and God. And most of us, our gauges are even not even working. So it's a prayer.
I'm very glad that you brought this up. What if some electric cars lied to you about the range?
No.
Like from some phones, your batteries are 100%. Okay,
you know,
make a call. The battery is low, 10%.
Now, for automotive purposes,
right,
the batteries and the battery management systems that are used to manage those batteries are far more robust than what you have in your phone. So they are pretty accurate in estimating range, number one.
Okay.
Number two, you see, you running out of charge is a function of your battery capacity. The average EV today has a range of 250 miles. Because Tesla is the one redefining the standard. And just recently, one of the things that we all saw from Battery Investor Day, for those who maybe it was just too long, it was too technical, is that the average EV going forward will have a minimum range of 300 miles. 300 miles is almost 500 something kilometers. From here to Kumasi is 264 kilometers. Averagely, within the city, people drive 50 or 60 kilometers a day.
Okay.
That means that if you charge your EV, it's equivalent to having a full tank in your Toyota Corolla. You can use it for 5 days during city driving before having to top up.
That's so assuming you're not driving like Michael or Spiky.
Look, I'm ready to put that.
I
am ready to put
and
that.
We will. Most EV owners charge their EVs
overnight. Right.
All right. Number one. Number two is even where they charge. You see, the scenario I described to you is for people doing city driving. Now, during trekking, that is when the charging stations that you are talking about come in. Because, like, if I have brought an EV charger here, you will see that the AC chargers, you can basically plug it into any available socket and charge. If you want to charge faster, just like you have maybe a high voltage line in your high current line in your house, you can get a normal electrician to do a high amperage line for you, so you can pump more power, so more electricity into your battery faster. I hope you're with me.
Yeah, I am.
Let me give you some stats. For the average EV, so the average petrol car, 100% of the time, they are fueled at a petrol station.
Yes.
But for an average EV, 60% of the time, it is charged in the house. Another 30% of the time, at people's workplaces. It is only 10% of the time that they charge in charging stations. Right? This figure that I give you, and this cut across every region where EVs are being used today. What this means is that if you are a petrol station owner and you are thinking that you will just replace the petrol stations with EVs and you get the same amount of business, you are deceived. This conversation we are having today, for those who are not making the connection, it's all about money. A lot of businesses, if they are in the petrol and gas industry, your business is dead.
Literally.
The head of that snake has been cut off. Only the tail is dancing, and you are deceiving yourself. Insurance is going to be affected. A lot of businesses, the automotive industry, they are in a fix.
Now, one of the things that people say about electric cars is about how it's going to be healthy for the environment, right?
Okay.
Now, because they're not producing any greenhouse gases, blah,
and no
blah,
noise.
and no noise, da, da, da. But these are the same factories that are going to be manufacturing these batteries, right?
Yeah.
And to add to that, although I will give props to Elon for figuring out a new way to make the lithium ion, like if you watch the investor day, that was super interesting, the way they are going about changing the building of the battery. They're changing it from ground up, and even that change.
But that's just one man.
No, yeah, that's one man.
company.
Who is shaking the room? Let's be honest.
That's just one
He's
company.
the reason why all of this is happening.
The ICE engine industry was created by one man, Henry Ford, in conjunction with Rockefeller. You see, because is an energy conversion.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
I get it.
you see, when Henry Ford,
The man who discovered
the
oil.
first cars were basically toys for the rich. Why? Because they were handmade. As they were handmade, it made them pretty expensive. One person was obsessed with making cars affordable. That was Henry Ford. In his quest, he invented a way of making cars, that is assembly line, that everybody copied, which required a lot of capital. And in his quest to deploy this solution, he needed allies. So he found one natural ally. That is who?
John D. Rockefeller.
John D. Rockefeller of Standard Oil. Most people forget that, or don't know, that the oil industry that was invented by or standardized by Rockefeller was made so to produce one product, kerosene, for producing lights.
Yeah.
Petrol and diesel was something that they used to throw away as nice. It was a waste product. Then cars were made standardized on the internal combustion engine as opposed to the electric motor. Our industry took off. And Henry Ford also invented another ally. That is the car dealers. So cars, he will make the cars, give it to the dealers will pay him cash. Then they have the job of selling the cars. Is that also? Then somebody else has a job of building the charging stations, the petrol stations. That is the oil industry. We are talking about literally trillions and trillions of dollars.
Sure.
Money that countries go to war for. We saw America recently invading, is it Iraq or whatever?
I think we digress. So
let me finish off what Spiky was saying.
Well,
so
we really need to round this up real quick so we can read some of the messages.
I'm making this quick. So we are talking about electric cars being clean and environmentally friendly, but are we skipping out the value chain? That is the process of the making of these cars, especially when it comes to the lithium-ion battery. That's what I was saying. Props to Elon Musk for swapping out cobalt for nickel. That's one of the things he talked about. Props for him. But cobalt is a very, very important part of the lithium ion, and one of the largest sources of cobalt in the world is Congo, which is a war-torn area. So even when the shareholders meeting started, someone had a claim. They invited people to come and talk about things they wanted to bring to the board to discuss, and she was talking about how the batteries are made via slightly inhumane practices and stuff like that. So we talked. The final product is great, but the value
but even the environmental impact of mining
and all of that,
increasing batteries too, is also dangerous.
Hold on this thought. We've got Kofi on the line. Hello, Kofi.
Yes, Spiky, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. It's been ages.
It has been ages. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, and I'm just surprised you don't open the phone line these days. But anyway, I think you should.
Yes, sure.
Okay. For me, I think that being a tech enthusiast, there's one angle that you've not touched, which is the repairs. I mean, do we have the techniques, the technology, or those who are supposed to, the mechanics actually, to be able to repair an electric vehicle? Mm-hmm. If you look at the vehicles that we have, which are even electronic diesels that we have these days, the Trotros, they changed the engines to the internal combustion engines. Sorry, they're already internal combustion engines, but they changed the pumps, to the manual pumps, simply because they are unable to get the mechanics to repair them for them. Right. So that is even the challenge that we have, So for me, I think that we are not ready for this thing, because where are we going to find the people to repair the vehicles for you? Mm. Now the range, as you spoke about, we are not going to be able to drive for a longer distance. Even Bill Gates put up a post, which Elon Musk himself, castigated Bill Gates for. Bill Gates is simply saying that you cannot have trucks, running on electric technology, the one that they have, because you need a heavier, big torque, right, to be able to pull those trucks. And can those batteries sustain that? So I think that we are not ready yet, but it's a very great thing that that's been done. And the vehicles are also very expensive. Instead of spending $100,000 to go and buy an electric vehicle, I'd rather go and buy the $10,000 one, invest the $90,000, use that the proceeds to buy fuel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kofi. As always, very nice opinions. We've got another call. I didn't even announce the line. People were on our heels. No, Kofi. Hi. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Good evening.
Yes. Good evening.
My name is speaking.
I use a hybrid, eh?
Sorry?
And I think I use a hybrid.
Right.
Yeah, and I think so far it's one of the best things that's ever happened to me.
Great.
Yes. I'm sure Gad is aware. Gad, this is Alpheus.
Good to hear your voice, man.
Yeah. And I mean, we've been speaking about this, and I feel like it is time. But you see, the disadvantage about the hybrid now is our mechanics do not learn. It's difficult getting somebody to work on a hybrid, especially when the fault is extreme.
We have a funny story about that.
Disadvantage, yes. But aside that, I mean, it's one of the best things on the market.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for calling, Alpheus. So, yes, speaking about the hybrids and them being very complicated. You see, that's the same thing Kofi said, fixing them. One of our friends went to a mechanic shop and saw a hybrid there and asked, what's wrong with this guy? And the mechanic said, it has a problem from home, which we all know what the home is. And we're like, so what's the problem? He says, it has 2 batteries. Yeah, he didn't get the concept.
You couldn't figure out that
so the car was at the mechanic shop with 2 batteries as a problem from home. So our mechanics are very traditional. Now, if you're bringing an electric car, say Despite has a Tesla, Dr. Sapon has a Tesla. I've driven the Model X, great car, but then we've seen online where Tesla themselves tell you have a problem you need to bring to them. I've had people say they want to bring in a Tesla, but the question is, even Tesla will tell you,
you can't bring it.
We don't have a service station there. How are you going to fix it? Now, let me read some messages real quick because we're running out of time. So, Namal7 says, stable electricity for electric charging of the car in Ghana. Will we have part 2 of this topic? Well, as it stands, I think we do need to have a part 2 of the topic. By how much is the efficiency of electric cars limited by the amount of load it can bear? That's Reginald Woche. And have you guys looked at the carbon or pollution footprint for the supply and value chain of the electric car industry, especially compared to the combustion car industry?
So that's my brother.
Yeah, I figured. I saw something from St. James. He was asking about AC and DC power.
There it is.
Yeah, St. James says, I saw the Taycan comes with both AC and DC charging ports. What's the difference, and why do electric cars have such high torques? And that's from St. James. Yep.
I think we can answer that one simply.
Yeah, we can answer.
The high torque is that with the internal combustion engine, the power goes through several stages before it generates the energy required to move the car. With an electric car, it's already in that near state, so there's no lag, there's no all of that business. It's the pure energy
compared to, and you're talking about milliseconds compared to seconds.
Yeah,
right. So
traction.
Mox says overnight charging, you won't get a full charge unless charge station.
No.
I mean about 5 hours. 5 hours. Yeah.
8 hours.
How long do you see?
And with the new batteries that Tesla has announced, we are getting to the 1 hour less than 1 hour range.
And St. James again says the funny part we say more houses too they use prepaid. Who go make you using 50 cedis prepaid to charge your car? Yes, sure.
Okay. Well, I have some figures here. We did AfricaNEV. We did a report on that.
Can you do that in like 10 seconds?
Good. In Ghana, if you're using a Tesla Model 3, you drive 100 kilometers. The cost is $1. The design leaf is $1.36.
Okay.
This is using
our
current
Ghana
prices.
Okay.
As of June.
Right.
Okay.
The
ID3. What has come to replace is
I've run out of time. I have to run out. So we will have a part 2 next week. So if you're listening to us, my name is Kobby Spiky Nkrumah. This is Geek Squad. Unfortunately, run out of time, but it's a great conversation. Catch you guys next week.